think the story that you're potentially you've probably told the most, but the one that I think is best accounted for in terms of your career when you've had to apply your operational mindset to a situation you've been in that's now well known, is when you were captured in Bosnia with Billy Billingham. So why don't you just tell us about essentially what happened and how you felt your training kick in to navigate that situation?
Yeah, so me and Billy were in the same platoon, the same patrol in Bosnia. Just before Bosnia, I'd done 2 years over in Northern Ireland doing undercover work. So I've got quite long hair at the moment, but it was actually longer. And I had a big pirate gold earring in my ear. I used to get stopped at the airport flying back from Belfast because I looked like a drug runner. To be honest, there's big blonde hair and the disappointment on the police and the customs when you used to pull out your army ID card to say, "Listen, I'm a good guy." But so having done that Northern Ireland undercover stuff for 2 years set me in good stead really for what was going to happen in Bosnia. So I missed all the build up to Bosnia, whereas Billy and the rest of the squadron did it's probably about a 2 month build up to deploying to Bosnia. And I missed all that. So Billy had been on a Serbo-Croat course to learn a bit of the language, if that makes sense, and so could speak a bit of it, not perfectly, but enough to get you by. Whereas I knew nothing. So when we ended up in a place called Bihać, which is on the western side of Bosnia, and it was an enclave, a Muslim enclave, and actually held out for the whole period of the war, uh, purely because they had a really strong General Dudakovic, and 5 corps Muslims army were actually pretty well thought of, if that makes sense, because they were led well. So when I got out there, joined up with Billy and the 2 other lads, because there was 4 of us. We just went about our job as you normally do, but because we were part of the UN, we just didn't look and dress like the UN. And the reason being is you can't do your job, getting intelligence and stuff like that if you're part of the UN. So we used to use the UN as yeah, that's our cover, but ultimately we need to get on and do our job, if that makes sense. And we just so we didn't wear helmets, the ballistic helmets, body armor. You don't wear that. And the mentality is that if you're speaking with frontline troops, they don't have ballistic helmets and they don't have body armor. So you need to have a bit of kudos about you, if that makes sense, and a bit of respect both ways. So you turning up with all your fancy kit on, it didn't wash. So we tended to get away with that. So we then had we were tasked to set up a meeting between 2 generals, General Dudakovic from the Muslim, and a general from the Serb military, and it was in no man's land, near a place called Sanski Mosque. So people that have been there will know the area. And the day before we went and did our recce, me and Billy went up there to have a look, and we actually went down and spoke to the frontline troops of the Serbs and had a good crack with them. Had a nice cup of coffee, and everything was hunky dory. Then the day of the meeting, so the generals came in. The light infantry had a big warrior vehicle across the road in no man's land. And then a kilometre beyond that was the Serb front line. And me and Billy, because we got bored, as you do, we got bored of the meeting. So we decided to take a walk down and have another cup of coffee with the Serbs. Unbeknown to us, that because the general had been brought forward, the frontline troops had changed, and they brought their special forces type organisation down. So me and Billy sort of walking down there, looking nothing like UN, spooked them somewhat. So they actually took us prisoner. Now me and Billy, all we had was pistols, sidearms, and so there's no way we could have made a fight of it. You know, when you're surrounded by 8 or 9 Serbs with AK-47s, you know, you're just gonna put your hands up, if that makes sense, and that's what happened. So they gave us a quick interrogation in a house, and then decided that we needed to be taken back way behind the lines to a place called Prijedor, so 45-minute drive. Now, me and Billy were put in the back of the vehicle, and the only bit of kit on us was our maps that they'd taken off us, and notebooks. And both our maps and both our notebooks had nothing in. They were sterile. There was nothing to indicate who we were, if that makes sense. The only other bit of kit that we had was our ID card, and our ID cards were pretty much exactly the same, apart from one number was slightly different. So Billy had, 178, and mine was 179. And we'll come into that when it comes to the interrogation. So we got driven back, and bizarrely, I don't know if it's nervous energy or whatever, but we were sort of whispering to each other on the back seat of this 4x4. So we got a major who ended up being our interrogator, was the driver, and this big burly bull of a guy, Serb, was in the passenger seat with an AK-47. Me and Billy were on the back seat chatting away, whispering, and all of a sudden the guy in the passenger seat span round, and then cocked his AK-47 in our faces. Now, ordinarily, you'd probably poop your pants, but me and Billy looked at each other and put 2 and 2 together and thought, how come he hasn't cocked his weapon? He's on the front line. So we started laughing, nervous sort of laughter, which really did annoy this individual, because he's pointing an AK at these 2 lunatics that are now laughing at him. But it wasn't because we were laughing at him. We were just laughing at this, he should have had a weapon. He should have had a round in his thing. So that didn't bode too well for how we were going to be treated at the other end. So we 45 minutes later we got to this camp, and it was quite a famous camp because it was on TV all the time, because it's where they were stripping prisoners and Muslims. They were starving them. So these pictures of emancipated sort of skinny Muslims was where they took us, basically. And so I got dragged in first for interrogation by this major who spoke perfect English. So started chatting away. Now, because I've been in Northern Ireland, I knew the score when it comes to having a cover story. So my cover story, which was fairly true, was that I'd only been there 2 weeks. So I said, "Listen, I've only been here 2 weeks. I know nothing. I'm the new boy." Um, and they said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I went, "I'm just a driver." And that was a slight lie, because Billy was actually the driver. And I said, "Listen, I'm a driver. I know nothing." So after about half an hour of trying to get something out of me, and they got nothing, they threw me in the corridor and sort of left me there. Picked up Billy, and then Billy got dragged in for interrogation. Now, Billy made the mistake of speaking a bit of Serbo-Croat. So they put 2 and 2 together and thought Billy was the clever one. And Mr. Thicky, the driver outside, knows nothing. So unfortunately for Billy, because they came up with that idea, he got dragged in about 4 or 5 times for interrogation, whereas they never spoke to me again. And the big bully boy that pointed his weapon, he was quite intimidating. He was sort of kicking you in the shin, and with his AK was sort of poking you in the ribs. He then pulled out a knife and was sort of threatening. All the sort of normal intimidatory sort of stuff. But again, not a big deal. You expect all that to go on anyway, so it wasn't a major drama. But poor old Billy was getting dragged in, and he got dragged in about 4 or 5 times. And then after about 4 hours, we ended up next to each other in the corridor. And sort of Billy leant over and went, "Flipping hell, Mick, what did you tell them?" And again, it was a bit of a funny moment, but sorry, Billy, but I just told him that I'm the driver. And Billy looked at me and went, "Yeah, but I'm the driver." But it was looking at each other, it's a snooze you lose type scenario. I went in there first and just told him I'm the driver, so knew nothing. But I did suggest to Billy that maybe you're talking a bit too much, which is probably why they're taking an interest in you, if that makes sense. So this went on, and then obviously the other 2 people that were left behind, they found out obviously that we'd been taken prisoner. And the way we got released was brilliant. Was they got on the sat phone to General Smith, I think, at the time, who then said, "Listen, don't worry about it. Go straight into the meeting now." And this annoyed all the other UN people. Go into the meeting and threaten to arrest the Serbian general. And that if he doesn't get Mick and Billy released, he's going to be taken prisoner and taken back to Bihać. And the thought of a Serbian general going back to a Muslim enclave, he absolutely pooped his pants. And he got on the sat phone straight away. We then got released about 2 hours later. We then got sort of passed through the system. They gave us all our weapons back and maps and everything else. And that was it. Now, walking back, Billy said to me, "Do you think we'll get kicked out because of what's happened?" Well, literally 2 weeks before, I'd been given the Queen's Commendation for Bravery for doing operations in over in Northern Ireland. And I said to Billy, to be quite frank, they're hardly likely to honour you 1 minute and then next minute throw you out through something that wasn't really our fault, I suppose. And we kept it really quiet. We didn't make a song and dance about it. We didn't make a drama out of it. The only people that knew that we'd been captured were the other 2 people in the patrol, plus the squadron commander, because he had to know about it, and the general, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. So when Billy became famous on his TV show Who Dares Wins, he alluded to the fact that he'd been taken prisoner, been captured, and he had. But unfortunately, a lot of the B Squadron lads that we were in Bosnia with didn't know, because we didn't make a drama out of it. So they were ringing him up saying, "Hold on, Billy, I think you're telling porkies here, because you've never been captured." And he went, "Actually, yeah, we have,
Kept that one quiet, didn't you?
It is, and I spoke to my kids about it, and it was just that era where you just didn't make a song and dance about it. It was one of them things that happened, and you just roll with it, and they just the next day was just a normal day,